Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so there's two ways I can approach this video. I can either get real low and melancholic and tell you why this game is so fascinating and really grips at your heart and soul, or I can just call you a bunch of fucking fraudulent cowards for not playing this game. You know it exists, yet you still refuse to play it. You fucking fraud. That's what you are. Yeah, you cunt, sitting there at your computer or your laptop or your smartphone, or your fucking iPad, or your Wii U pad, or your smart television, whatever, watching this video. You're a Souls-like fan, you're a Soulsborne fan, but yet, how come you haven't fucking played Mortal Shell? Oh, get out of my sight. So after probably getting demonetized there in record time with that intro, the reason I wanted to make this video is because Souls-like games these days are plentiful, and I feel like this is one of the really good ones, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it. As far as my social media is concerned, I'd say about 90% of the people I follow are all involved in the Dark Souls community in some way, shape or form. They're either YouTubers or streamers, or they're just people who play the games. And aside from maybe one or two people, I'm seeing absolutely nobody on my timelines talking about Mortal Shell. Now maybe it could be just a case that people don't know it even exists, although the announcement trailer 4 months ago did have over 1 million views. Or it could be just a case that people have fatigue from this genre of game. Jesus, I know I have it myself. Like, going back to playing Dark Souls games is a real fucking chore for me. Or even trying out other Souls-like games, I never seem to ever finish any of them. But Mortal Shell, it gripped me. I couldn't get enough of it, and I just played it true and true until I got to the end. Like, honest to God, man, you could probably list out every Souls-like game there is, and I've played it. You know, Lords of the Fallen, The Surge, Hellpoint, Blasphemous, Salt and Sanctuary, Death's Gambit, Dirt Rally, you know, it goes on and on. I've played them all. And these games are not at all bad games. Well, I mean, Lords of the Fallen is fucking terrible, but for the most part, they're not bad games, and they all have something in common, and that's I've never finished any of them. You know, I play through them all, I give them a good couple of hours, but after some time, they're just too familiar to like the From Software games in a sense, and then they're not familiar enough in other sense. It's really hard to pinpoint and say what makes a good Souls-like the same way From Software make their Souls games. And just in case my credibility is on the line here, if I even have any, by saying that I've played every Souls-like, I just want to go on the record and say that I've never played Code Vein. I hear the gameplay and stuff is good, but that fucking art style, I can't stand it. Just no. So what does Mortal Shell do so differently to the point that I wanted to make a video telling you to go fucking buy it or try it out or whatever? And there's two areas in particular I would say it excels at, and one would be the tone, and second would be combat and gameplay. So what I love about the tone and atmosphere of this game is that it's just super edgy. And I know the word edgy can have a lot of negativity around it, but I would say that there are two different types of edgy. And I think the most universal way I can reference this is by using Jared Leto's Joker and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. So over here on this side we have a lad who literally has the word damaged tattooed on his forehead, and I'd say if Discord existed back in 2001, this guy would have been the first person to start posting 9/11 memes in just random servers. And then over on this side we have a guy who is just much more ominous and mysterious, but definitely more disturbed and fucked up. This guy would definitely kill you in your sleep. So basically, Jared Leto's Joker is just edgy emo trash. This is cringe. Bruh. Whereas Joaquin Phoenix is more like a black metal level of edge. This is a definite kick. This video is going off in some weird fucking tangents right now, but what I'm trying to say is that Mortal Shell's edginess is the cool kind of edginess, like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. It's dark and ominous, but also a certain level of badassery to it. Like, just look at this enemy right here. She looks so fucking cool. It's just a really dark and grim yet inspired art style, and it's just a tone of edginess that I don't think I've seen in any other Souls-like games. And a lot of the praise I have for Mortal Shell's tone owes itself to the graphical fidelity of this game, which, if you didn't already know, was developed by 15 people. Like, it's absolutely insane that they achieved a game this good looking with such good tight gameplay with great animations. Just 15 people. I can't get over that. Like, when I was back in secondary school, there was only about 15 students in my entire class. Like, that was it. I went to a small school. But the only thing we ever achieved was a game where one person jumps on a trampoline and the other 14 people throw basketballs and American footballs and kick soccer balls at them and try and give them fucking brain damage. And if you died, you died. But that's about all we achieved, 15 of us over 5 years. So the fact that this game started out its development cycle with only a handful of people, and then at the end of the project it was 15, it's absolutely insane that this is the final product. Like, I can't give them enough praise. Like, how the fuck did 15 people do this? All the environments that you will be traversing throughout your journey, they all look great. Level design, it's definitely serviceable. Like, it's not perfect. I think the main hub forest area is very big and it's easy to get lost in, but once you start to play the game more, you do learn, the shortcuts and the routes to get from A to B. But I think a lot of people, newcomers, are going to be lost, and I think people who maybe never played a Souls-like game before are going to be really, really lost. But me personally, I like that. I like being just thrown into this world. You're not given a map, you're given no compass, no nothing, no waypoints. You just have to find your own way through it and just progress as you see fit. Like, you can tackle all of the game's areas in any order of your choosing, and it's only after finishing the game that I learned there is actually a recommended order. So they like, do this area first and then that one and then this one last. And it turns out that I actually did the game's areas from hardest to like medium difficulty to the easiest one last. So, it's nice to be given that freedom and that kind of sense of your own discovery. Now, the game itself, it's not particularly long, and some of the main areas are much shorter than the others, and some of them are quite lengthy. My first playthrough clocked in around 10 to 11 hours, and that's kind of, I'm not going to say completionist run, but I searched every nook and cranny and I found literally everything there is to find in the game, and I upgraded my weapons and characters. Most of them fully, but not everything. There's still stuff to be done. So yeah, it's definitely a shorter game, but that's someone like me. I have played the Mortal Shell beta, so I knew what I was getting into, and I have a lot of experience with Souls-like games. So if you're like me, you've played all of the Dark Souls series and some other games, it probably will be a much shorter experience. And if you're someone who has like little to no experience with these type of games, it's probably going to be around a 20-ish hour game. But I would say the average, Souls veteran will probably clock in like a full, more or less completionist run, checking every nook and cranny, I'd say between 10-15 hours. There is a new game plus mode, and there are different play styles depending on which shell you pick, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But there's definitely more gameplay here than 10 hours. And I see that being one of the bigger complaints about this game, how it's €30, but it's only, a 10-hour experience for a first playthrough. And I'd just like to put that into perspective for a second. When you think about another game that came out this year, Resident Evil 3 Remake, that is a 4 to 5 hour game on our first blind playthrough, and it's still €60. A lot of AAA games you're paying 60 for 10 to 15 hour experience. Here you're getting a very well polished game for €30, 10 hours of, more or less 10 hours of solid gameplay, because like Soulsborne, there's fuck all cutscenes. There's like 5 minutes total worth of cutscenes, so the rest of it is just pure gameplay. So as far as the price for entry to this game, I think the price is perfect. I think €30 is a perfect deal for this game. I'm not going to talk too much about the story because obviously that is spoiler territory, but it's as you would expect. It's the typical Souls-like game where it's very mysterious. You don't know who you are or where you are or what you're doing, and you're drip fed this information. You have to piece it all together and figure out what's going on. The game also has a compendium, so you can go back and read lore descriptions and item descriptions, and it's just filled with all of that good stuff. But if you're a lore hunter and you're into all that stuff, this game has it, and you're gonna have fun putting it all together. And whether you like it or not, well, that's up to you, but the option to do it is there. And this video is going on way longer than I thought it would before I even get to talking about my favorite part, which is the combat. But this is gonna be like, what, the second video I've uploaded in over a year. So, you know, you're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. This one goes out to you. And what can I say about this combat other than it's done something that I've wanted from a Dark Souls game for so fucking long, and that's combos. Literally everything in this game combos with each other. And I know in the Souls games you might have the odd weapon here or there that might actually have true combos where a light will combo into a heavy, and in Bloodborne you had you know, the whole trick weapon transformation combo, but that's about it. There wasn't a lot of actual real comboing. But in Mortal Shell you can actually combo, you can combo it all. You can combo lights into heavies, heavies back into lights, light, light, heavy, 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 light, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. It just all combos together. And not only do, you know, attack strings combo into each other, you can also weapon switch and keep the combo going. And like the only thing holding you back from doing some just fucking wild and crazy combo strings is, you know, the stamina system. But I imagine, you know, it probably already exists, or it's only a matter of time before it does exist, when somebody creates like a cheat table or a trainer or a mod, whatever, just to disable stamina. So now I'm just going to give you a few quick examples of what you can actually do with this game's combat system. So first here I'm just going to show you a string of all light attacks. And then here's a string of all heavy attacks. Now I'm gonna go with light, heavy, light. And this one here is light, light, heavy. And then here we have heavy, heavy, light. So here you can see what I'm talking about. I'm just making very basic combo strings by mixing lights and heavies in different orders. But it definitely gets a little bit more complex once you add different things to your combos. So for example, after completing a string, if you just backstep cancel, you can just go back into a completely different string of combo attacks. What's even more impressive is you can start a combo with one weapon, and mid-string you can switch to a second weapon and complete the combo string with the second weapon's moveset. Heck, why even switch between two weapons when you can switch between multiple weapons in a string? Now I've played a lot of action games where you're encouraged to weapon switch to keep combos going, but I don't think I've ever seen a game where each weapon's moveset actually just seamlessly blends into one another. Now, is it necessary to adopt these playstyle techniques? Not at all. You can play the entire game without doing any of this stuff. But, you know, it's nice that it exists and it's there for people who do want to do these things. And in some circumstances, you actually can kill enemies quicker by just using different weapons and switching on the fly. But like I said, totally not necessary to do so. But if you want to show off some flashy combat skills, then the option is there. And then next we have Mortal Shell's Harden mechanic, which is basically your block button where you turn into stone and you're indefinitely a stone man until you take your next hit or until you let go of the harden button. Now not only is this a defensive mechanic so you can tank hits, but you can also set it up sort of like a hyper armor so you can use it offensively. So basically when you're about to trade with an enemy, you can just harden and you will tank their hit and ultimately win the trade. It's a very unique mechanic and it's basically poise in your fingertips, so what's not to love? Next up there are weapon abilities, which are basically a super or an ultimate but for your weapon. So in Mortal Shell there are 4 different weapons and each one has 2 unique weapon abilities. I'm not going to spoil them all, I'm only going to show one of these. Then of course there is the Ballistazooka, and I don't think there's any words I could use to describe this fucking weapon, so I'm just going to show you a clip of it instead. That reload animation alone is just... Oh! And then of course there are the titular shells.
So let me get this straight. We like some we like some sort of like motherfucking suicide, some shit.
Now again, this is something I don't want to really spoil, but there are 4 shells and they offer different playstyles. For example, one shell might have a huge health pool and a lot of durability, but very low stamina, whereas another shell may have truckloads of stamina but have very little HP. There are no stats to level in Mortal Shell, but instead each shell has its own individual perk trees. Perks can range from simple passive abilities to really powerful offensive abilities. Each shell has its own pros and cons, and I think that's where the replayability for this game is, to go through a new game cycle using a different shell each time and unlocking all of its perks. But in conclusion, I think Mortal Shell is a really solid Souls-like game. It's probably one of my favorites, like it stands up there with the From Software games. If it was longer, it would have been absolutely perfect, but I understand like it's a very small dev team. But I'm really looking forward to see if they release DLCs for this game or even a sequel. Like this studio, I have my eye on these dudes right now. And most of all, I hope I've helped out you, the viewer. Maybe you were on the fence about getting this game, or maybe you never heard about it, but now I've shown you plenty of it, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, pick it up, because I really enjoyed it. And if you are a PC gamer like me, Mortal Shell is currently a timed exclusive on the Epic Games Store, so if you're purchasing the game from the Epic Games Store, perhaps you would consider using my creator code Butchimus when you're checking out, and that'd be greatly appreciated. And I know some of you have concerns about the Epic Games launcher, but I think some games are just worth having the Chinese government spying on you. Not you though. And now that that's all said and done, you may now fuck off because I have a video to render. I'll see you all in the next one. Now go on, off with you! What the fuck? What?